Oncimmune is a company that has been around for 18 years. It span out of Nottingham University with the express intent to detect cancer early using a novel biomarker class called an autoantibody. Since listing in 2016, Oncimmune has evolved to use the same platform technology and our expertise in autoantibodies to not only detect cancer early, but also identify patients in cancer, autoimmune disease, and infectious diseases that may best be suitable for certain forms of therapy, in particular, immune modulating therapies. So cancer is where we started out life, and we have become expert in developing diagnostics for the early detection of cancer. Indeed, the study that we recently ran up in Scotland, the ECLS study, demonstrated that this particular biomarker class that we are world experts in is able to detect cancer earlier than when not using this particular biomarker class. That study demonstrated a 36% reduction in late-stage diagnoses of cancer. But more recently, we've been working in autoimmune disease and infectious diseases. And in autoimmune disease, we have a number of research projects in flight at the moment. And recently, we were able to announce a collaboration with Genentech to support some of their clinical trials work in the area. In infectious diseases, we are lucky enough to have received government funding and through a collaboration with the Medicines Discovery Catapult, we're developing our first infectious disease research tool, which we hope will start to be used by both pharmaceutical companies, but also regulators and payers as they consider which COVID therapies to use to better prevent COVID and also treat it once infected. Over the last 20 years or more, Oncimmune has become expert in the use of autoantibodies for both the detection of disease early, but also picking which patients are most likely to respond positively to which immune modulating drug after the disease has been diagnosed. Those two applications of this particular biomarker class allow us to develop products and also to sell services. But in both cases, we use a common platform technology, a common value creation engine, if you like. It starts very much with our immunogenic protein library, a bank of freezers that holds the proteins in frozen form that we interrogate when answering a question on behalf of a customer, and then runs through a series of proprietary tools, a long listing tool, if you like, a short listing tool, followed by then a bioinformatics suite of tools that allows us to get to an answer. Some immune insight, an immune signature, maybe, is the best way to consider it, which is of value. It's either as value because it can be used to develop a diagnostic, which clinicians can then use, or it's of value because researchers can use that immune signature to better select patients for clinical trials. On the product side of the business, where we focus on early cancer detection, the market is substantial. We all know that 1 in 2 of us will develop cancer throughout our lifetime, and we all have a sense that the earlier the disease is detected, the more likely we are to survive from that disease. But the scale of the opportunity might not be so apparent. There are approximately 2 million lung cancers diagnosed on an annual basis and treated, but the opportunity to detect lung cancer in an at-risk population is maybe 100 times that. There's maybe 200 million people globally eligible for the use of a diagnostic such as our early lung cancer test, early CDT lung. Importantly, that market continues to grow and is growing rapidly. This year, about 10 million people globally will die of cancer. That number, by 2040 will be in excess of 15 million people. So the imperative to detect early and improve survival is strong and will continue to get stronger. On the service side of the house, where our focus is on cancer, autoimmune disease, and infectious disease clinical trials, there is also a substantial opportunity. In cancer, there are over 6,000 immuno-oncology trials being run globally on an annual basis. In autoimmune disease, approximately 1,500. And in infectious diseases, buoyed clearly recently by COVID, there are over 5,000 trials being run this year alone. And across phase 1, 2, and ultimately 3, those trials recruit hundreds, thousands of patients, each donating 2 or more samples, often a pre and a post-treatment sample, to the trial. And we charge our pharma customers on a per sample basis. So approximately 12 months ago, we stood on the President's Podium of World Lung and released the initial readout of the ECLS study. 12,210 patients followed up for a minimum of 2 years, demonstrating 36% reduction in late-stage diagnoses of cancer, the largest randomized study of a blood biomarker for cancer detection in the world. And that was peer-reviewed and published in July of this year in the European Respiratory Journal. In November, at the beginning of November, we managed to divest our US subsidiary to Biodesix, a US domiciled lung cancer focused diagnostic company, who are now making great headway in selling early CDT lung alongside their own product, XL2, under the brand Notify Lung into the US market. In February of this year, 2020, we have been developing relationships with pharmaceutical companies and delivering upon those initial contracts. Roche and Genentech are 2 large pharmaceutical companies we've been able to name in the market, but there are 3 others that we are currently working with alongside a number of smaller biotechs to receive samples, analyze those samples, and present back by way of a report an immune signature that helps them better identify patients for clinical trials or understand why patients on existing clinical trials are reacting to their drug in the way in which they are observing. More recently, we have received very positive medtech innovation briefing from NICE that have looked at the clinical utility and the health economics of our early CDT lung product in the UK for use in nodules, and come up with a very, very positive briefing to clinicians. We hope that in the not too distant future, NICE will accept early CDT lung for full guidance, which would be a real success for the company. So over the coming quarters, there are a number of bits of news that we hope we're going to be able to talk about with our current holders and future holders. On the product side of the house, we hope we are at a stage in the not too distant future to announce how the NHS might adopt early CDT lung, and hand in hand with that, whether NICE is going to accept early CDT lung for full guidance. Equally, there is an evolving screening evaluation platform in Scotland that I think is going to represent an opportunity for us to sell on commercial terms early CDT lung in the not too distant future. On the service side of the house, we expect to announce further brands, top 10 pharmaceutical companies, if you like, alongside the stable of in-flight projects that we're currently delivering, as well as being able to upsell, deepen our relationship with those current customers that we are delivering projects for, and demonstrate to our investors how the insight we're able to deliver is having a real impact upon the pharmaceutical industry. And I think finally, on the service side of the house, there is going to be substantial traction around about our infectious disease panel, funded by the British government in collaboration with the Medicines Discovery Catapult, when we're able to launch that in January 2021.